Happy Wednesday, beautiful people. Let's get right to it. It is Wednesday, May 24th, 2023, day 39 of year 5 of reading through books, laws, and prophets. And of the 4-year consecutive day count, it is day 1418. Today, we are going to read chapter 6 of the book of Osiah, son of Jehovah. These are some long verses for this chapter. It's 35 verses, but it's some long verses. And after we get done reading that, we're going to hop over here to the Secret Nazarite Scroll, officially known as the Holy Megillah. And we're going to start on page 239. And the title of this is The Precepts of Zion, Book 1, The Gate of Zion. So we'll actually probably just get to read like 2 chapters today, which is about 3 pages. And if we have any time left, we may move into the door of the wizard. But we'll see. All right, beautiful people. So, Father, we thank you for sure foundations to build upon. Everybody, Nazarene, and sing shalom, shalom. Tikva, yes, and amen. Creator is undefeated. Lavon, hey, girl, hey. Abba, girl, hey, girl, hey. Elijah, peace and blessings. Shayla, hey, girl, hey, cousin. Dawn, what's good, sis? Facebook user, glory and praise to our heavenly Mother, Father, Jaja. And everybody else here already hanging out in the background. Top of the day to you, Mom. Shalom, shalom. Oh, let little Jonathan know that we probably won't go over today because the mini Murphs are, they battling like a bug or something. I don't know. So they was kind of down a little bit yesterday, and I checked on them this morning, and but yeah, I don't want to go take them out and pass anything to anybody. So tell them I'm gonna log in and check his stuff to get it done still same time. All right, beautiful people. Avia, greetings. Tabitha, hey girl, hey. All right, beautiful people. So let's go ahead and get moving straight away. All right, so Book of Osiris, son of Jehovah, chapter 6, page 137 at the top of Owaspy. Jehovah said, Rebraj shall be my place, my throne. Osiris, hold on. Jehovah said, Rebraj shall be my place, thy throne, Osiah, shall be my throne. Send sheriffs out into all the divisions of heaven, where thou hast destroyed the evil kingdoms, and thy sheriffs shall arrest all the false gods whom thou hast dispossessed, and bring them hither, that I may speak with them face to face. Then spake Osiah to the sheriffs, saying, Go ye out into all the divisions of atmosphere, and arrest and bring hither all the false gods whom I have dethroned, saying to each of them, Osiah, God of the lower heavens, commandeth thy presence. Come thou and hear the voice of thy Creator. But it shall happen that many will fear to come because of the light, lest their evil deeds be seen. Say to all such, the light will be lowered for a short space of time. Come therefore quickly. To all the knots, KNOT, like the hell knots. To all the knots where the false gods are enveloped, shall ye take umbre, a sufficiency, that ye may release them. But leave ye with the knot a sufficient guard to keep them in their places. The sheriffs went abroad as commanded, being sufficiently provided with attendants and all things required for such adventures. And after many days, the false gods were arrested and brought before the throne of God, Osiah, Jehovah's son. And there were assembled on that occasion 100,000 archangels, of whom 2,000 had risen to the rank of gods and goddesses, and 30,000 to the rank of lords and lordesses. Osiah said to the false ones, Brothers, greeting in the name of Jehovah. Nor shall ye fear, nor be expectant of torture or punishment. Though I came in all power, my words shall be tempered with wisdom. But I can be no respecter of persons, nor swerve one jot or tittle from Jehovah's commandments. The bondage of all men was in the Father. For before ye were conscious individuals, Jehovah stretched forth his hand, and ye came forth from void, which was your prison, in which yourselves had been as nothing. In likeness of the Father, I came to deliver them ye had bounden. Hold on. had bounden. In likeness of the Father, I came to deliver them ye had bounden, and through him have I attained power to that end. So in likeness of him also, I cannot bind you or cast you into prison. Nay, my sheriffs have just delivered you from bondage, and I am now holding you free from the knots. Most of ye are learned men of the second resurrection, but ye have used your wisdom for self-glorification, being proud to call yourselves gods, not to teach them of Jehovah and his kingdoms, but falsely teaching that your own kingdoms were the all highest, thereby shutting out the true light from the unlearned. Jehovah hath blessed you all with strong minds and handsome forms, whereupon ye have each of you falsely proclaimed ye were Apollo. Think not that this matter was not known in high heaven. I have here the reports of swift messengers, which were brought to me in the firmament above. I came not in ignorance of what ye were doing, neither came I in weakness. More than 100,000 million who have been raised up to Ethera from the earth and its heavens stand at my side. Besides these, 1,000,000 times as many Etherians from other worlds, and above all these, the great Orion chiefs, and yet beyond and over all, great Jehovah. Have I not proved my power before you all? Did I go away in a corner and say, come, I will show you my power? Nay, I came close to you all. As the Father first proveth power, so have I. After that, wisdom, that I may talk to you in wisdom. I had you arrested and brought hither. Hear me then and remember my words. In former cycles, the high gods who descended to these heavens, finding false gods, simply liberated their slaves, but put no labor of restitution on the false gods. This was because the false gods of those periods were too imbecile and unlearned. But the earth and her heavens have progressed to a higher state, and with progression cometh also responsibility. With learning cometh responsibility, and with wisdom also. I like this. Just me, shalom. Audrey, hey girl, hey. Okay. I'll read verse 11 again. In former cycles, the high gods who descended to these heavens, finding false gods, simply liberated their slaves, but put no labor of restitution on the false gods. This was because the false gods of those periods were too imbecile and unlearned. But the earth and her heavens have progressed to a higher state, and with progression cometh also responsibility. With learning cometh responsibility, and with wisdom also. Ye bound your subjects to your kingdoms, and ye perceive. Now ye cannot put them aside. Ye taught them your kingdoms were the all highest. They must now be unlearned. Ye taught them that ye were the all highest gods. They must be unlearned in this also. Ye put aside the ancient rites and ceremonies, wherein the name of Jehovah was used, teaching them to sing to you only. They must be taught new songs, substituting the Great Spirit, whom none can attain forever. I tend to do that with my worship songs anyway. As I start learning the truth, there are some worship songs I like, but I'll substitute any false God's name that's in there or whatever. I'll substitute it and I'll put in great creator or the most holy or whatever intimate term that I'm referring to the creator as, right? Let me see. I'm going to read this over again. Ye bound your subjects to your kingdoms, and ye perceive now you cannot put them aside. Ye taught them your kingdoms were the all highest. They must now be unlearned. Ye taught them that ye were the all highest gods. They must be unlearned in this also. Ye put aside the ancient rites and rituals, wherein the name of Jehovah was used, teaching them to sing only to you. They must be taught new songs, substituting the Great Spirit, to whom none can attain forever. Ye taught them to be unthinking and contented as slaves. They must now be taught to think for themselves and to labor for everlasting liberty. Verse 13, page 138. And now, touching the law of the resurrection, remember ye This is the same in all the created worlds, which is that the spirit of man groweth by giving away whatsoever the spirit hath to give. That's good. Okay. And now, touching the law of the resurrection, remember ye, this is the same in all the created worlds, which is that the spirit of man groweth by giving away of whatsoever the spirit hath to give. If ye have great learning, and ye give of it, then shall more learning be added unto you. If ye have goodness of heart and gentle words, then by giving this away, more shall be added unto you. If ye have craft and inventions or mechanics, and ye bestow these talents unto others, then more will be added unto you. As the corporeal man accumulateth corporal things by not giving them away, so accumulateth the spirit. As the corporeal man accumulateth corporal things by not giving them away, not so accumulateth the spirit of any man. Okay, so when you hold on to it, you lose it. When you give it away, you get more of it. And that I found to be true in everything, spiritual as well as in business relationships. People learn to trust you more, and you in your eyes, you kind of in their eyes, you kind of become, for lack of a better word, I was gonna say an expert, but I'll say like the go-to trusted person, because you kind of prove yourself by giving away good information that can be tested, tried, and they also get results from it. Let me read that again. That's good. Verse 13. And now, touching the law of the resurrection, remember ye, this is the same in all the created worlds, which is that the spirit of man groweth by giving away of whatsoever the spirit hath to give. If ye have great learning, and ye give of it, then shall more learning be added unto you. If ye have goodness of heart and gentle words, then by giving this away, more shall be added unto you. If ye have craft and inventions or mechanics, and ye bestow of these talents unto others, then will more be added unto you. As the corporeal man accumulateth corporal things by not giving them away, not so accumulateth the spirit of any man. For he who locked up the light of the Father that is in him cannot obtain more light. He who locked up goodness of heart cannot obtain strength of spirit. And without strength of spirit, no man can attain to the third resurrection. But that men may learn to obtain strength of spirit, the second resurrection hath been established in atmosphere belonging to all the habitable corporal worlds. The chief delight of man shall be, therefore, to find some way to impart his spiritual talents and strength to the greatest possible number of people. That is amazing. Kind of like what social media is for, right? If you have a gift of talent, think about how many people, say if you don't have an audience or you have some kind of gift or talent or even a business, getting on social media, you make it available to the maximum amount of actually, you have the opportunity to make it available to the maximum amount of people who need your service, talent, whatever it is. Now, even though you just put it up there, if you learn a little bit about marketing and how to target your audience and not just everybody, because if you targeting everybody, you ain't gonna target nobody. Anybody, that's improper English. But if you understand who your product, your service, or your gift is made for on social media, this is how social media thrives in their algorithms. You can learn how to find those people who are already looking for you, and you can market to them. You can show up to the places where you know they're going to be, right? And you become a little bit more successful. All right. Marketing is one of the things I love. Let me go back. I'm going to read verse 14 again. Just me, shalom, shalom, right? You know, you always be coming through. We still use the Bible for some good stuff. Luke 6:38, give and it shall be given unto you, good measure, pressed down and shaken together, and running over shall men give into your bosom. Yes, and amen. Zachariah, shalom, shalom, dreadful Cosmon, shalom. Okay. For he who locked up the light of the Father that is in him cannot obtain more light. He who locked up goodness of heart cannot obtain strength of spirit. And without strength of spirit, no man can attain to the third resurrection. But that men may learn to obtain strength of spirit, the second resurrection hath been established in atmosphere belonging to all the habitable corporal worlds. The chief delight of man shall be, therefore, to find some way to impart his spiritual talents and strength and to the greatest possible number of people. Think not that preaching to the ignorant is sufficient. Think not that preaching to the ignorant is sufficient, but ye shall take hold with your own hands and show them how to accomplish, yet not labor alone. For some are so created that ye cannot inspire them without rites and ceremonies and music. So he's saying some people you just can't talk to. Like you can't just lecture them. You have to actually get in there and show them how to do it with their own hands. Give them rites and ceremonies to walk through. It's like children learning math sometimes. My boys, they need manipulatives, right? So they can feel it, they can manipulate it, they can see it. It helps them understand better in their mind, and it helps them be able to do it mentally as they grow older. If early on they have something to manipulate with their hand, because that helps them to remember better. And at a certain point, once they get the manipulatives down or the rites and ceremonies, they're no longer going to need that, right? We don't really see adults using manipulatives. They just learn just like that because they can picture the manipulatives that they had, or maybe the what you call it, the abacus. Abacus is an awesome way to learn how to do math. You just learn how to do it mentally, but a lot faster by using aids. And that's what rites and ceremonies were, right? At a certain point, people began to worship the rites and ceremonies, and that's not what they were created for. Remember, they were just the models to teach us the way to go. People just started kind of worshiping these things. We're trying to correct it. Okay, one more time. Verse 14, for he who locked up the light of the Father that is in him cannot obtain more light. He who locked up the goodness of heart cannot obtain strength of spirit. And without strength of spirit, no man can attain to the third resurrection. But that men may learn to obtain strength of spirit, the second resurrection hath been established in atmosphere belonging to all the habitable corporal worlds. The chief delight of man shall be, therefore, to find some way to impart his spiritual talents and strength and to the greatest possible number of people. Think not that preaching to the ignorant is sufficient, but ye shall take hold with your own hands and show them how to accomplish. Yet not labor alone, for some are so created that ye cannot inspire them without rites and ceremonies and music. Nor shall a man, after having taught and raised up a few, say, behold, what a good work I have done. But as long as he findeth a man or woman or child who lacketh in anything, he shall feel to say, alas, what I have done is as nothing in the resurrection of my fellows. For the rule holdeth for all men alike, to desire exaltation and everlasting liberty and unlimited power. And unless ye are prepared to give even these unto others, then ye cannot attain them yourselves. Neither is it possible for man to turn away from responsibility, to whom the Father hath given. From him the Father requireth. Let me read that again. Neither is it possible for man to turn away from responsibility, to whom the Father hath given. From him the Father requireth. Ye hath your kingdoms, yea, and boasted of them. Your boasts have ascended to Ethera. Will ye go thither and be asked, where is my kingdom? Shall it be said, ye shirked from the care of them the Father gave into your keeping? Bethink ye, O brothers, Bethink ye, O brothers, when the conscience of man burneth inward, there is still darkness slumbering in his soul. The Etherian lights will burn him. He whose conscience no longer burned inward becometh himself a brilliant flame of light. Through him Jehovah speaketh. Osiris ceased, and now a brilliant light descended around the throne. And presently Jehovah through Osiris, saying, Times and half times have I given to my corporal worlds and their heavens. In a time have I made a full resurrection to those who aspire to my heavens above. Nor do I go away from any place I created, saying, Go thou alone for a season. Nor do I go away from any place I created, saying, Go thou alone for a season. But in a time I manifest a new light, for such also are my creations. Think not that I have given seasons to corporal worlds only. I gave seasons to atmosphere also. Is not a summer on earth half a time, and the winter a half a time, and the two one full time? So created I for atmosphere a time of 400 years and a half time of 200 years. And in 7 times and 1/2 time created I one Danha. I sent my gods to teach these things since thousands of years, whereby my angels might know the times of my resurrections. Have not a farmer knowledge of the resurrection of spring, when I cover the earth over with new growing things, which I raise up out of the earth? How much more knowledge should my angels have? How much more knowledge should my angels have of my springtimes in atmosphere, when my archangels come to gather in my harvest of emancipated souls? I commanded my Ethereal hosts, say, Go ye to the lower heaven and teach them there is no such thing as individual resurrection. Remember that? I commanded my Ethereal host, saying, Go ye to the lower heavens and teach them there is no such thing as individual resurrection. And they proclaiming my words, showing all people that any number of individuals were as nothing unless united, which is the salvation I provided unto all my worlds. For I created progress to be in compact, nor gave I to any person individual salvation or resurrection. That men might learn the advantage of compact, I caused mortals to have corporal languages and to live in cities, that ye in atmosphere might learn the all perfection of being one with another. I gave you the second resurrection, teaching you through my gods and lords to abnegate self aspiration. For self aspiration is at the expense of others, but commanding ye to learn to assimilate with one another. I like to use this portion in business, right? Y'all heard me say before, I don't really care for the term competitor, although most people in the business world look at their competitors. I look at ways we can work together, especially if we're in the same industry. I like to call them competimates. We can help one another, right? It's more than enough business to go around for everybody, but a lot of people don't see it from that light. Verse 25, and I gave rites and ceremonies, amongst which was the oath of service unto me and my kingdoms, and unto none other, wherein many bound themselves, which was and is the beginning of liberty. Touching this matter, I created types on earth and in the lower heavens, that even the unlearned might understand me and my works. For to him that begetteth children gave I bondage to them, and to him conjointly. But this is a bondage that circumventeth not liberty in time to come, but they can ascend to heaven and progress conjointly better than alone. But some gave themselves up to love earthly things, such as houses and money and kingdoms, which things have no resurrection. Hence, such bondage holdeth the person after death to the thing he loved. In type of which many have set up kingdoms in the lower heavens, binding themselves to things that have no higher resurrection, which things belong on the plateau of atmosphere where I created them. But to them who have bound themselves to their fellows, saying, I am, hold on, let me go back, read the whole sentence again. Verse 27, in type of which many have set up kingdoms in the lower heavens, binding themselves to things that have no higher resurrection, which things belong on the plateau of atmosphere where I created them. but to them who have bound themselves to their fellows, saying, I am the salvation. It is like a young man saying to a maiden, Come, I will be thy husband, and she goeth to him in confidence. Here then is bondage, and she holdeth him as the way of her salvation, wherein not he alone can annul that which hath been united, nor yet they twain. For by their bondage I am also party to the contract. In which manner they that assume kingdoms, professing to be gods of salvation, and thus enticing my innocent ones unto themselves, become bound, not only to their subjects, but to the contract of deliverance unto salvation, for so created I them. Oof. The voice ceased, and Osiris said, If a man wed a woman with an evil temper, his glory lieth not going away from her, but in teaching her to overcome her temper. Or if her husband be evil, her glory lieth not in going away from him, but in reforming him. Rather, it is wise to accomplish whatever work Jehovah hath put in thy way than to desert it for the sake of personal comfort. And this is what a lot of people have problems with, right? Especially in marriage. Oh my goodness. Marriage is a whole it's a whole it's a whole lot. I wanted to say something else, but it's a whole nother course of learning that teaches you how to be selfless, or you could come out of it more selfish, right? And especially when you run into issues that your spouse may be dealing with within themselves, where they need to grow and learn how to just overcome some things. If you don't have an understanding spouse who looks at you in wisdom and understands your situation, it's like, man, I'm sick of this crap, right? But not realizing that even though they know their spouse is struggling and they tell them they're struggling, but the way it comes off or the way the messages are communicated, it might be that, well, you need to get it together. How many times you going to do this? How many times, you know, it becomes really challenging, right? And most people, matter of fact, they just go and get a divorce, irreconcilable differences, or whatever the case may be, right? And that is your choice, right? Creator gives us free will. But how many of us are willing to just ignore? I ain't gonna say ignore, like completely ignore yourself and be abused or anything like that, but how many of us are willing to put aside what we want and help our spouse move on and overcome some things? Some people will for a certain period of time, and then it's like they put time limits on it. Listen, I'm mentally, they may tell you, I'm giving them 2 years. If they can't get it together in 2 years, that's it. But some will outright and come and tell you, you got 30 days to get it together or I'm out, right? But what if you was the other spouse? You know, would you want a little bit more compassion? Some people like, nope, they should just kick me to the curb where I belong. Well, you know what? It's a lot of personal inward issues that need to be dealt with for you to even think that about yourself, right? It's a lot of people, and everything is set up to just, you know what, just part, right? Even we read in the Megillah, where the Nazarites, they're commanded, they're employed to live at peace with all men. We see that in a lot of places, but a lot of people, it's really hard for them to walk through those things. And I find out it's harder to help people walk through things when we don't really understand the full background or situation on how they got there, right? If we would take some time, like most of us don't grow up with our spouses. We just meet them throughout life. But what if you had intimate knowledge of where they actually came from, their family history, their roots, and you can see things that are being passed along from father and mother to daughter and son, personalities, whether you want to call it sins, hangups, quirks, all these things that are passed down to the children, you know, and they just kind of began to walk in these things. You know, if you had intimate knowledge of some of these things, I think your compassion would increase 100-fold if your patience has increased, right? And if you truly love somebody according to the love that the Creator teaches us about and what we learn here in OWASP, right? True love, that type of love, that agape love. If we understood those things, I would venture out to say that more marriages would be saved, more relationships would be salvaged, The relationships between I guess you can, well, yeah, the relationships between parents and children would become better. But with the parents and children, the system has to be reverse engineered, especially, and I say that because sometimes children have parents who are hard, but if they don't understand the life of their parent and where they came from and some of the issues that they had growing up, their mental mind state and how they got there, they'll never understand why their parent is the way that they are, and they just like, I'm sick, I can't wait till I move out, and most children, they don't even begin to mature to even begin to think that way until they've been to moved out the house and they've then had a family of their own, or they done ran through some type of situation that causes them to begin to think about these things. And now it's like, in hindsight, and now we're looking back, man, I wish I would have known that then, so it's relationships are hard, but that's why I think it's imperative, it's incumbent upon us that we really learn how to develop love, not just in not not just in words, but really letting it unfold and develop in the heart and the mind, our understanding, our emotions. Let it unfold in us so we can begin to allow other people to enjoy the beauty of that love, like the wonderful scent of a flower, the beauty to look upon it, right? It brightens the world. Plants are all over and they beautify this place. We should be the same way. Jerry, shalom, shalom. Kings and Queens Culture Group. What's going on? Trina. Hey, girl, hey. How are the lessons learned if both parties have an evil temper? Or there should be a mediator? Okay, so it's just challenging. Are we talking about evil tempers between two spouses, business partners, just associate relationships? Because if you got two spouses that have evil tempers, a lot of time we see them on the news. Somebody done killed somebody, somebody in jail. They should not, matter of fact, they shouldn't even attract one another. That's the opposites attract, right? They shouldn't even, matter of fact, their rah-rah should keep them apart. You need somebody that's high strung and somebody that's a little more tempered in order for that to work out and pan out. Pistol at 10 places. I'm sorry, pistol at 10 paces. Yeah, I mean, if that's the case, yes, the husband and the wife. First of all, I would like to hear the story on how they came together. Who was faking the funk? Somebody, maybe both parties. But if both parties have a evil temper, I mean, it's gonna take the maturity of one of those parties to constantly enact the bigger person rule. I think that's where that begins to start, right? Especially if they want to salvage what they have. Somebody is going to have to be the bigger person. Both parties normally starting off, they don't both, well, I'm going to be the bigger person. No, I'm going to be the bigger person. It's somebody that's going to go full throttle. Somebody going to have to pull back a little bit, and see what it is. So, I mean, based on my understanding, with two evil personalities, or just high strung, somebody's going to have to, on purpose, start being a bigger person for that to start moving anywhere. Otherwise, that's going to dissolve really quickly. A negative plus a negative equals a positive in Boolean algebra. Why are y'all talking to me about math? Y'all know how I feel about that. No, sis, I'll be playing around. Jamia, hey girl, hey. I mean, I can't really explain that to you in mathematical terms, but to get batteries to work, you got, I'm trying to think of an example where I can expound on. I mean, it's like the male and the female outlet and the plug. I mean, I get two negatives equal a positive. But okay, so yeah, in algebra, as you get into higher math, that's just kind of like, okay, I'm just thinking about a lot of different things. Okay, so I guess that's just a higher level of math, right? So I don't even know how to explain that. Like I can see it, and I'm looking at different examples, like the children growing up earlier on, not being able to do stuff, but that's not necessarily the truth. It's just you're too young to understand this. So when you mature a little bit and you grow in age and in wisdom, will teach you a higher way, which was forbidden to you earlier. So I think it's kind of like one of those things. On go, yazo, shalom. That yeah, that works in math, not psychological behavior. That's what I was trying to kind of merge, but you can't really merge it together. I just see it's like a higher law, and you can only like certain math equations, and not just math equations, but just different equations in life, and you have different variables, right? Math, you have numbers, but in relationships, you have people, numbers, variables, and all these different variables in a relationship, and the dynamics within and around the relationship all are a different equation for different relationships. So certain formulas in math does not apply to other type of equations. Not that it's wrong, it's just being used in a wrong situation, right? So you have to understand the math and understand what to use where and when. And I think that happens for everything all around us. So you just got to figure out if it's two spouses, both on edge, both with evil attitudes. I mean, but y'all say y'all love one another and y'all want to make it work. Y'all need to figure out the dynamics of y'all relationship mathematical equation to begin to adjust some stuff. Put the formulas in the right order. How do we work the formula out? Right? Do we start dividing first? Nope. We start with the addition first. You just got to figure that out. Yeah. See, it's different principles, and that's also true. Evil attracts evil, just like good attracts good. It's all these different variables we have to think about, right? So, good attracts good and produces more good. Evil attracts evil and produces more evil. It's an equation, and it works for the purpose that it was designed for. But you can choose to change the equation, the outcome. So, hopefully the two spouses, their use their well, let's say I hope they develop some wisdom, and actually think about things and try and work it out. The reason I brought this temper thing up, the book said one person having an evil temper, not mentioning if both have a temper. But you got a point. The voice ceased, and Osiris said, if a man wed a woman with an evil temper, his glory lieth in not going away from her, but in teaching her to overcome her temper. Most men right out the gate, though, they're not just going to marry an evil woman or nagging woman or somebody like, oh no, she is not wife material. They're not right out. When men marry, most of the time, they look for somebody that it's not going to give them a headache, and if they marry someone that in time they figured out, I should have never married you, it means they ignored the warning signs, because there are always warning signs. There are always warning signs. No matter how good a person may be, if you pay attention, there are always warning signs, right? And I would say that the opposite is true as well. Well, I've seen it more in the flip side of cases with women marrying men just for the sake of security, which is still crazy, but more women would probably marry men who are hard for the sake of security than men would ever think about ever doing in multiple lifetimes, marrying a woman who can't control herself, her mouth, and it's weird. But you should think about how you want to live your life. If you want to live a peaceable life with somebody, you can grow with somebody, especially that you're going to be bearing children with. Is this the type of person that you want to be the father of your children or the mother of your children? How do you take care of yourself? How did your parents take care of themselves? How did they treat you? Like all of these things. A lot of times, if I don't know, maybe there was something else at play. If you have two evil people that marry one another, I don't really even know how that like happens on purpose. Maybe there are all ulterior motives behind two people becoming evil, or it could have been they started out innocent and ignorant, right? Innocent and ignorant, and not really investing or developing a relationship on purpose. They began to develop animosity within themselves against one another, and everything begins to change, and now both the parties are pissed off and they can't stand one another. I've seen that too. So you got to figure out the dynamics of the relationship and how it got that way in order to fix it or completely bring it to an end. Now, I'm not advocating divorce, but if things can be worked out, and I think all things can be worked out. Some situations I don't recommend people staying, especially if you're being abused physically and even mentally, because sometimes mental abuse can be way more detrimental than physical abuse. I mean, unless the physical abuse is where they're breaking limbs and putting you into the ground, right? But most times, broken bones that heal. A lot of times, broken minds don't. So especially if you don't have the right community support system around you to help you heal. So it's a lot of variables at play with relationships, and everybody doesn't fit in the same mold, and all advice is not good for all couples. Something that may be amazing for me and my husband may not work at all for my friends, even though we want to help them, but their dynamics are different, and they have to consider their own dynamics in order to find something that works for them. They may be able to take the gist of what we've done, the principle, but maybe not the specific way we do it. Understand the principle and apply it to your situation, how it works. Lucifer hate Lilith, but love her evil. See that? Listen though, look, that was a contract. They were both. That was a contract that. There was a contract that worked though. There was like an agreement of evil there towards one purpose, and the evil wasn't necessarily directed at the parties. It was directed to parties outside of that evil compact. So you just got to look at everything that's involved. All right, y'all. Let's finish this. We got like a few more verses, and we probably only we got 15 minutes left. We definitely only gonna have a chance to read this first little small chapter in the Secret Nazarite Scroll. Okay. Verse 29, the voice ceased, and Osiris said, if a man wed a woman with an evil temper, his glory lieth not in going away from her, but in teaching her to overcome her temper. Or if her husband be evil, her glory lieth not in going away from him, but in reforming him. Rather is it wise to accomplish whatever work Jehovah hath put in thy way than to desert it for sake of personal comfort. Nevertheless, there is a limit to all things. Save Jehovah, and to the wise there is power to accomplish much that seemeth impossible at first. Hear ye then my judgment upon you, which is that ye shall again assume kingdoms, and everyone have all the subjects he had before, and ye shall be provided with places and thrones by my archangels, and with counsels of my archangels also. And I will give to each and every one of you an assistant God, who shall sit on your right hand for 4 years, the time of this dawn, teaching how to teach and what to teach. That's good. Teaching how to teach and what to teach. This is good. The more I read through this, y'all, I know y'all do, but some may not. Okay, so how when, especially if you're coming from Christianity, like you have to learn how to take the principles and the lessons that you learn from books, even like Owaspy, without becoming married to the stories, if that makes sense, right? So you take the wisdom and you apply it to your life without becoming a religious nut about it. That makes sense? I'm not sure if I'm explaining that the right way. Okay. Like some people I know coming out of Christianity, and some people I come across that gets in a wasp, it's like, man, this is the best thing since sliced bread. And to me, I think it is. I absolutely think it is. Now, I'm not gonna walk around here like a religious nut, like I kind of used to do when I was a Christian with my Bible and stuff. I'm not gonna do that with the Waspy. I have grown a couple levels, and I realize I'm not trying to find the right words to say this without sounding without sounding disrespectful. I'm learning how to take this without using it as a source of I don't know, y'all. I know what I want to say. I'm trying to put it in words so where it makes sense. Without, I guess the best way, without being such a religious nut about it, or like coming down on people. You used to read the Bible. You should read Owaspy. Like Owaspy is the thing. That's the best way. I'm trying to really put it in words, but take the principles, apply it to my life. And if people ask me, "Hey, man, where did you learn that from?" Then I'll bring up, it's Owaspy. The resource that I use to help me develop in some of these areas without like I'm lacking a word that I want to say, but y'all get what I'm saying. Y'all get what I'm saying. It's like yeah, Bronjo, like some people become about the Sabbath, like overly zealous about it. It's like you take the principle. Okay, so some people's like the Sabbath, no, do it on Saturday. We do it just like this and make sure we had a day of preparation. It's like all these rigid rules and stuff, right? But when you understand what like Sabbath was created for, it it when you understand it, the understanding brings you a freedom, right? So when I was developing through like the Hebrew roots and the feast days and stuff, right? So you just kind of move through levels. You move away from all the pagan rituals and holidays and acting all crazy towards people that still celebrate them. And now, but you're doing the same thing. You come into the Hebrew roots, feast days, bless the most holy, cover my head, get kneading my bread for the Sabbath on the day of preparation, like all this stuff, preparing for Passover, all of these different things, make sure we do it on time like this. It's like that becomes tiring. And when we get tired doing these things, I get it's the process of rites and rituals and understanding, but it's the same process with children learning how to do math and needing manipulatives early on. We need these to understand the principles, but now that we understand the principles, it's time to kind of like walk in it. And as you begin to walk in it, you develop in it, and you begin to it becomes I like that, Nazarene. Listen, I like that. It's a practical guide, right? It's a practical guide. It gives you the gist of everything, but you have to learn how to take these principles and apply it to your situation at the right time with the right people. That's where wisdom comes in. Okay, we got the foundation, we got the book knowledge, but a lot of time people in the office with the books, they're at odds with the people actually in the field. People in the field, we know what the manual says, but we're telling you by actually doing this that this is not working. Meaning that either there's a breakdown in understanding, the people in the field are not reading the manual correctly, or the manual was written incorrectly, and what they've written has not allowed for the people in the field to actually perform this in an efficient way, right? So you have to realize all of these things. And so it's the same way with Owaspy. I don't want to be so, although I love it, I absolutely love it. I absolutely do. But I don't want to become one of those people where like we accuse Bible thumpers of being, because I see that happening with some people. And it's like, okay, how do we help people not miss the point of what we're really doing here, right? We're using, that's why I like the fact that we read multiple books and we don't get stuck on one. We want to be able to take the principles that we find, write some rituals. Okay, that was in the 1800s. How does this apply today in the 2000s with my relationship, with my dynamics, with my ethnicity, the group that I'm a part of, like all of this? That's where wisdom comes in, and actually having on the job experience. It's the same thing with growing spiritually. We have a guide. It's nothing more than a guide, right? But we have to actually put the guide, the principles that we learn within the guide, to work. I hope that makes sense. Oh man, we got a few minutes. We might not even get to the secret Nazarite scroll. Hold on, I ain't even done with this chapter. But I hope y'all can understand what I was saying, right? Hold on. That's perfect, Jamia. Be the light. You don't have to preach the light, right? Actually, being a light is one of the best teachers, because you will actually begin to draw people to you. Like, they'll begin to ask questions. They're going to observe first. Like, man, how do you do that? Right? And by actually being the light, doing, you build this platform on which to speak from, not just talking like social media, but in life in general. People will begin to observe you and wonder how, things are working out for you. Like, man, it seemed like everything. All right, explain to me what's happening. What's going on with you? How is this even possible? Right? And then it gives you the open door. Just like people knocking, Jehovah's Witnesses going to the door, like you're marketing to people who ain't even looking for your services, right? You're trying to market to everyone, you're catching no one, right? No. If you create a way to do something where people actually come looking for what you have, then that gives you the open door, and you don't seem intrusive. People ain't got to hide from, like, oh my God, there she go. None of that has to happen, right? So like the old ways of marketing, whether it's services or even your religion or what you believe, there's a better way to do this. People who are looking for you will find you if, like, what it say over here? Hold on. The chief delight of man shall be, this verse 15 on page 138. The chief delight of man shall be, therefore, to find some way to impart his spiritual talents and strength to the greatest possible number of people, right? So, like Jamia said, be the light. You don't have to preach the light. When you're the light, people are drawn to the light. They will find you. Just find a way to continue shining brighter and brighter, and crowding out all darkness. If you can find a way to become brighter, more people will find the light, right? You don't have to go searching for them. They're gonna come looking for you. All right. Let's finish this. We got 5. That was my 5-minute marker. Verse 31. No, let me just go back to 29. The voice ceased, and Osiris said, if a man wed a woman with an evil temper, his glory lieth not in going away from her, but in teaching her to overcome her temper. Or if her husband be evil, her glory lieth not in going away from him, but in reforming him. Rather, it is wise to accomplish whatever work Jehovah hath put in thy way than to desert it for the sake of personal comfort. Nevertheless, there is a limit to all things, save Jehovah, and to the wise there is power to accomplish much that seemeth impossible at first. Hear ye then my judgment upon you, which is that ye shall again assume kingdoms, and every one have all the subjects he had before. And ye shall be provided with places and thrones by my archangels, and with counsels of my archangels also. And I will give to each and every one of you an assistant God, who shall sit on your right hand for 4 years, the time of this dawn, teaching how to teach and what to teach. My host will now conduct you to the places prepared for you, around which are erected walls of agony. And when ye are safely seated on your thrones, your former subjects shall be brought before you in groups, and adjusted to the labor and to the schools and such other places as are suited to them according to their strengths and talents. And I pronounce it upon ye, upon you, that ye shall deliver your respective subjects sufficiently for the third resurrection, wherein, according to your zeal and faithfulness, will my host labor with you, to the end that Jehovah may be glorified in your harvest for the emancipated worlds. Attend therefore to give the sign in Jehovah's name, and receive ye the ordination from my hands by the power and wisdom of the great Spirit. The sheriffs showed them how to make the sign and how to stand before the throne. And then Osiris said, by thy wisdom and love and power, O Jehovah, which rest in me, do I anoint thee, thy gods, for thy service and for the exaltation of thy kingdoms forever. Amen. The light was now becoming so brilliant that many of the newly made gods quailed before it. But the marshals conducted them, and they passed before the throne of Osiris, where they were crowned and arrayed as gods of the second resurrection, after which they were again conducted before the council and saluted on the sign, and thence to martial music they were taken to the kingdoms prepared for them. And that, my beautiful people, is the end of this one chapter that we've been reading all this morning, chapter 6 in the book of Osiris, son of Jehovah in Owaspy. That's the end of that, but it's also the end of our time period for today. We got 3 minutes left. So unfortunately, we didn't get to the secret Nazarite scroll, the Holy Megillah. But when we come back tomorrow, we'll see what the time looking like. I don't think we're going to take as long. Oh, definitely not. Chapter 7 is only 10 verses. I think we'll just read one chapter tomorrow. That way we can get into the secret Nazarite scroll for sure tomorrow. All right, beautiful people. It is Wednesday, May the 24th, 2023, day 39 of year 5 of reading through books, laws, and prophets. And of the 5-year consecutive day count, it is day 1418. And today we read only chapter 6 in the book of Osiris, son of Jehovah, found in Owaspy, and that was pages 137 to 139 at the top. Remember, the top part is the heavenly portion. The bottom part is the earthly portion that was happening simultaneously, right? The heavens account and the earthly account that was happening at the same time period. And when you're reading through Owaspy, when you have come to a section where you got 2 books and they split, always read the top book first, so the heavenly account. If you got 10 chapters, read from chapter 1 all the way to chapter 10. And when you get to chapter 10, come all the way back to where you found chapter 1 for both of these books and begin reading the earthly account. That's how they tell you to read through this. All right, so with that being said, Father, we thank you that you teach us with love. And with that being said, beautiful people, let me see, any more comments? Talking about the relationships, you hit a point where you don't have time to be arguing over no BS, right? Look, what it say right here? Look, nevertheless, there is a limit to all things. It said that right. Look, it said that right after it was telling the husband who married an evil wife, listen, bear with her a little bit longer, help her get her temper under control, right? And wives, you do likewise with your husband. But then it goes on to say there is a limit to all things, and sometimes people just run out of time in relationships. Just like with your body, if you don't take care of your body, if you begin to develop a sickness, normally you get some time to be able to rectify what's going on within your body, especially years of things that have just accumulated. And then when you get into your older age, everything that you did when you was younger start to catch up with you, but when you're young, you got time. You can drink sodas you can drink sodas 24/7 when you're young, and it don't bother you. Probably just get a sip of water every other day and be fine. But as you start getting older, matter of fact, if you start that really young, I say once you start getting in your late 20s, you're gonna start feeling it, because you're calcifying not just your pineal gland, but your arteries and stuff. You're drying up things, soda things, caffeine, all that stuff dries you out. I noticed even like when I love nachos, plant-based nachos, but things that you put in your body that are dry, think about this. And I found this to be so true. When you put dry things in your body, it dries you out. So if you're constantly eating like potato chips and breads and stuff like that, and you're not hydrating yourself, you're drying yourself out. What I found to be quite interesting, the last few times I ate nachos, because I got like my chips, even like some of the tortilla chips that I like, that's, the most healthiest ones, I wake up and I feel dry. I feel like I got cotton mouth, right? It feel like I didn't even know your eye sockets could feel dry. I will wake up and my eye sockets feel dry. It's a horrible feeling. I'm like, what in the world is going on with me? But I noticed it would happen every time I ate nachos. So all of the chips, all of the dry stuff. And this is something I learned with Dr. Lauren Lockman, who does the water fasting. You can't constantly put dry things in your mouth and think that your body is going to fare well with that. You have to keep it lubricated, water, hydrated, a lot of things that begin happening with the body, most of the time, those are just symptoms of your body crying out and telling you it's dehydrated. The body has many different cries for water, and they actually have a book. I think it's entitled almost the same thing. So most of the time, when you start feeling different ailments, first thing you should do, start hydrating yourself. And I know people can come up with all kinds of excuses, but I'm telling you, it's been medically proven. There was a time, we mentioned it before, during one of the wars, when the doctor on hand ran out of medicine, all he had available to him was water. He used water. He prescribed more water, drank more water, and literally, like crazy, it began to heal people, right? So most of the time, our bodies begin to develop diseases because first, we've dehydrated it, right? So if you can't afford medicine, anything else, fresh fruit, drink water. Drink lots of water. All right. That's it for today. We got to go. I'm already 3 minutes over. So with that being said, beautiful people, I love y'all. And I'll see y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.
But I see through you.
I'm from outer space. I got Milky Way for blood, evolution in my veins. I'm gold. I've been far away. I'm illuminated now, making.
What did you just do to me?
I pushed your astral form out of your physical form.
What's in that tea? Psilocybin? LSD?
It's just tea. With a little honey.
What just happened?
For a moment, you entered the astral dimension.
What?
A place where the soul exists apart from the body.
Why are you doing this to me?
To show you just how much you don't know. Open your eye.
Been dreaming about flying for a long time. I had a vision from the birds, they want a cold sign.
What's happening? This isn't real, this isn't real, this isn't real, this is...
Dreaming about flying for a long time. I had a vision from the birds, they want a cold sign.
His heart rate is getting dangerously high.
He looks all right to me. You think that this particular universe is all there is?
I don't need gravity, I don't need
What mysteries lie beyond the reach of your senses? Existence, mind and matter meet. Thoughts shape reality.
I don't need gravity, I just need growth. I am not really here, I'm an intrusion. I don't swim or sink, I just float.
Some benevolent and life-giving, filled with malice and hunger. Dark places where powers older than time and waiting.
I don't swim or sink, I just float.
Who are you in this vast multiverse?
I don't need gravity, I just need growth. I don't need gravity, I just need growth.
Have you seen that before in a gift shop?
I don't need gravity, I just need growth.
Teach me.
No.
never ever fall, never stumble. And I don't need to be humble. Break down walls like Jericho crumble.